The Whispering Garden, a gentle fairy tale of magic, friendship, and finding your true voice. In a quiet corner of the world, where morning mist danced between ancient oak trees and wildflowers painted the meadows in soft pastels, there lived a young girl named Emma. Her cottage sat at the edge of the Whispering Woods, where her grandmother had once told her that fairies still dwelt among the silver birches and babbling brooks. Emma had always been different from the other children in her village. While they laughed loudly and ran through the streets with carefree abandon, Emma preferred the gentle company of butterflies and the soft songs of robins. She spoke in whispers, as if afraid her voice might disturb the delicate balance of the world around her. Every morning, Emma would tend to her grandmother's garden, where roses climbed wooden trellises and lavender swayed in the gentle breeze. The garden had been her sanctuary since she was small, especially after her grandmother had passed away the previous spring. Here, among the herbs and flowers, Emma felt she could breathe freely without worrying about saying the wrong thing or speaking too softly to be heard. But lately, something had been troubling the peaceful garden. The flowers that once bloomed in vibrant colors were beginning to fade. The roses hung their heads as if weeping, and the cheerful marigolds had lost their golden glow. Even the ancient apple tree, which had provided sweet fruit for generations, bore only withered blossoms. Emma knelt beside a patch of struggling daisies, her heart heavy with concern. She had tried everything she knew: extra water, fresh soil, gentle songs hummed under her breath. Nothing seemed to help. As she touched the wilting petals with trembling fingers, a single tear rolled down her cheek and fell onto the earth. The moment her tear touched the soil, something extraordinary happened. A soft, silvery light began to shimmer around the base of the flowers, and Emma heard what sounded like tiny voices carried on the wind. She looked up, startled, and gasped at what she saw. Dozens of delicate fairies, no bigger than her thumb, were emerging from behind flower petals and from beneath broad leaves. Their wings caught the sunlight like fragments of rainbow, and their faces held expressions of deep sadness. One fairy, with wings like morning dewdrops and hair the color of moonlight, fluttered closer to Emma. "Dear child," the fairy said in a voice like wind chimes, "we have been waiting so long for someone with a pure heart to see us. I am Luna, guardian of this garden, and we desperately need your help." Emma's eyes widened in wonder. She had always believed in magic, but seeing it before her eyes left her breathless. I can see you," she whispered, afraid that speaking too loudly might make the fairies disappear. Luna smiled gently. "Yes, child, your grandmother could see us too. She helped us care for this garden for many years, singing to the plants and sharing her joy with every living thing. But since she has been gone, the garden has been losing its magic." Another fairy, with wings like autumn leaves, joined them. "I am Sage," she said. "The garden is dying because it has forgotten how to listen to the songs of the heart. Your grandmother's voice carried love and hope. Without such songs, the magic that keeps us all connected grows weak." Emma felt her chest tighten with a familiar fear. "But I don't sing like grandmother did. My voice is too quiet. No one ever hears me when I speak." Luna flew closer, her tiny hand touching Emma's cheek where the tear had fallen. "Sweet Emma, you have been singing to this garden every day with your gentle care and your loving heart. But the magic needs more. It needs you too. Find your true voice. Not the loud voice of others, but your own special way of sharing love with the world." As the days passed, Emma spent hours in the garden with her new fairy friends. They showed her secret places where dewdrops collected the morning light, and hidden groves where the oldest flowers kept the garden's memories. Slowly, Emma began to understand that her quiet nature was not a weakness, but a gift. Luna taught her that some of the most powerful magic in the world came from gentle souls who noticed the small things others missed. Sage showed her how the plants leaned toward her when she spoke softly, drawn to the sincerity in her voice rather than its volume. One evening, as the sun painted the sky in shades of peach and gold, Emma sat in the center of the garden surrounded by her fairy friends. She closed her eyes and thought of her grandmother, remembering all the stories and songs they had shared together. For the first time since the garden began to fade, Emma felt a warm glow in her heart. Softly, so softly that only the most attentive listener could hear, Emma began to hum. The melody came from somewhere deep inside her, a song she had never heard before but somehow always known. As her voice grew slightly stronger, the fairies began to join in, their voices weaving together like threads of silk. All around them, miraculous things began to happen. The drooping roses lifted their heads and burst into brilliant crimson bloom. The marigolds glowed like tiny suns, and the apple tree's branches filled with white blossoms that sparkled in the fading light. The entire garden pulsed with renewed life and magic. Emma opened her eyes to find the garden more beautiful than it had ever been. But more importantly, she felt something new stirring within herself: confidence, purpose, and the understanding that her gentle voice had its own unique power. From that day forward, Emma continued to tend the garden with her fairy friends by her side. She learned that being quiet didn't mean being weak, and that sometimes the most important voices are the ones that speak with kindness rather than volume. The village children began to notice how flowers seemed to bloom brighter wherever Emma walked, and how butterflies would gather around her like old friends. And in the evenings, when the world grew still and peaceful, Emma would sit in her grandmother's garden and sing gentle songs to the flowers, the fairies, and all the small creatures who understood that true magic lives in the hearts of those who care for others with patience, love, and their own authentic voice. The garden never faded again, and neither did Emma's newfound confidence in the quiet strength she had carried within her all along. The end.